right, it's going to record right now. All right, like usual, let's go ahead and create a new document. This is called the Automoblox Male Figure. And it's going to go ahead and load up. Like always, I'm going to go ahead and create my sketch on my front view. And right off the bat, you'll see that we're going to make a square, 0.575 by 0.575. So I'm going to start with a center point rectangle. And I'm going to make it there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to grab dimension tool, 0.575 by 0.575. And I'm going to go ahead and finish my sketch. And now I should be able to go ahead and extrude it. All right, so the interesting thing about this particular assignment is it doesn't tell you per se, like obviously what to extrude. You can see right there, it tells you 0.3, or if you read, it tells you right there 0.3. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Change this to 0.3 inches. And now we're going to go ahead and create another sketch on top of here. All right, so let me go back to this view here. And we're going to use our brand new tool. We're going to use the ellipse tool. So it says here, place a sketch on top of the square base and sketch an ellipse. Apply a dimension to show the image, shown in the image. So these numbers here. Be sure to use a construction line to allocate the ellipse center of the block. Extrude the ellipse to a value of 0.115. So this is how much you're going to extrude the ellipse. Now, here's the deal. In Autodesk Inventor, when we make an ellipse, we dimension from the radius out. Yesterday, when I made this, Onshape actually does the whole diameter. So these numbers here, 0.236, it's actually going to be double that. All right, and 0.155, also we're going to have to double that. So the first one, let's go and let's make our ellipse. I'm going to start here in the center. Like so. And then you see, instead of the radius, it's asking for diameter. So 0.236, and I'm going to multiply that by 2 because, again, I provided you guys the radius, but you don't type in a radius. So, and now we're going to go ahead and do 0.155 times 2 as well. And you'll see that it automatically does the number as soon as you multiply it by 2. And then it says extrude it 0.115. Now, you don't double this number, all right? The extrusion is an extrusion. You don't have to worry about a radius in this case. So finish my sketch, hit extrude. I want to extrude that. And I'm going to put 0.115 and hit OK. All right, now let's move on. So here, it gets a little more complicated. It says using a tapered extrusion to approximate the body figure, use the appropriate taper angle and extrusion based on approximations measurements to realistic presentation, visual presentation. All right, so you'll see that this extrusion doesn't necessarily go straight up. It actually goes out, all right? And that's the taper, or in this case, in Onshape, we call it a draft. So we're going to extrude this 0.84 inches, but we're going to add a taper to it, or a draft. But before we could even do that, we have to offset this. So this is the original thing we extruded. Notice that we just made a another ellipse, essentially that's 0.05 inches wider on both sides. So you're going to use a new tool today, which is called the offset tool. All right, so let's go ahead and let's do that. I'm going to create a sketch on here. And then I'm going to grab my offset tool, which is right here. And as long as you click on the outside, you'll see that it'll take whatever shape you click on, and I give you the ability to increase it in size or decrease it. So in this case, double click on here. I'm going to put 0.05. I'm going to finish my sketch. And I'm going to extrude both the inside and the outside. And we said it's going to be 0.84. Now, before you go around and clicking OK, we have to add a draft, and you'll see that button right there, draft. All right. You'll see that by default, the draft is 3 degrees. And so all it did is it went up 0.84 like normally, and it added 3 degrees in every direction. We want to change that to 4. And you'll see what happens. It gets a little wider, right? And this has this to mimic the male body, which will have wider shoulders typically than females. And so this is why we do this. So in the female body, we wouldn't have to worry about this too much. We actually do a totally different process because of all the curves. So I'm going to hit OK, and you'll see that now we have this shape where even though we extruded a certain amount, it changes over time because we want that 4 degree all the way up. All right, now that we've done that, we can worry about the complicated part. All right, so what we're going to do first is we're going to select the view that's the side of it, right? And then we're going to create a sketch right here. Again, this is being recorded so you guys can follow along. So don't worry about if you're a little further behind. This is being recorded. All right, so now let's go ahead and scroll down. All right, so in the Autodesk Inventor, we have what's called slice graphics. And all it does is wherever you create a sketch, if you click slice graphics, it'll essentially shave the part all the way up. And once you do that, you're going to start making these lines here. Now, from experience, 1 inch long is sufficient, and then we can go ahead and worry about the distance between the center. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to show section view. So we don't, in Onshape, it's not called slice graphics, it's called section view. So I'm going to click on this, and you'll see what just happened. Where I created a sketch, it just flattened it out. So that way we could draw on the inside of the part. All right. I'm going to grab my line tool, and I'm going to add one here. I'm going to make this like this, and now I'm going to go ahead and dimension it. Now, before I go through and dimension it, you're going to need a construction line, and this is not on the document per se, so it's important that we go ahead and do this part first. What I need is to follow a construction line, so that way I can dimension it. So I'm going to start here at the very center, and I'm just going to make a vertical line. Again, it doesn't necessarily matter how long it is, it just needs to be there. So that way I could go ahead and tell this to be 1 inch tall, this one to be 1 inch tall, and I need this to be 0.8 inches. There you go. That's what the construction line was there for, so I could tell it how far away to be. All right. So this is one of those things where you won't really see the outcome of it because it doesn't like display what exactly you just did. But we need to make use of this flat surface. All right. And so what we do here is we're going to click on this button here where it says use or project. I know it says project, but it depends on how you read it, project or convert. And we want to make use of this geometry here. So that way we can actually like click to it, you know, so it attaches to an edge. And so because the part is inside, we want to use intersection, right? And then you just click on the part and you should be able to see everything, which again, it doesn't show you like it did anything, but it's there. And the reason we're doing that is so when we make our arc here, it's going to be just a regular 3-point arc. I'm going to do this, click on this dot, click on this dot, and I'm just going to go right underneath that. All right, it doesn't automatically latch onto the edge here. And what you need to do for that is click on this tool right here, the tangent tool. So you click on the arc, and you click on this line, and you'll see that it automatically closed that gap and make sure that that arc touches that edge. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and finish our sketch. And this is where it might get a little glitchy for you guys. It got a little glitchy for me yesterday. You're going to extrude 1, 2. Yeah, this is where it got a little glitchy. And I'm pretty sure it's that line. And then you have to click all of them. All right. Let me, if you come across that issue, it's more than likely because of that construction line. So let me go ahead and go back into my sketch. And I'm going to delete this construction line. See how that works. So I noticed that it is blue again, but we just need to get through this. So we extrude that. Yeah, it's still doing it. That's all right. All right. So we're going to extrude all that, but the problem is we don't want to add material here. We want to intersect. So whenever you extrude something, you have 3 options. You could have add material like you normally do. You can remove material like you've done, or you could intersect, which is you do this. And what that does is whatever's in that sketch that you made, whatever you're intersecting, everything outside of it is going to be removed. So in this case, it went in this direction, and you'll see that it cut out this shape in the process. But there's a problem, all right? This part's still missing here. So what we need to do is change this from blind to symmetric. And you'll see that now this side went. So I'm going to pull this in this direction. And I'm going to hit OK. Right, it's still gone, but that's because I never turned off the section view. So I'm going to right click on here. And actually I have to be in the sketch to turn it off. So I'm going to go back into sketch 4, right click. Where is it? Turn section view off. And I'm going to hit OK. And you'll see that now we got this complicated shape going. All right. All we have left is to place a little like head here. Now you guys can make the head as complicated as you want. I usually just throw like a ball situation up there, but I've seen people get like a good shape of the face going. And I've seen other people put like a little sombrero on there. It's up to you guys. All right. I just want to make sure that you guys know how to do this. So in order to do that, we need to actually add an axis on here. All right, we need to be able to revolve a head on here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my mate connector tool. And notice that it doesn't want to go up and down because this is an ellipse. All right, and so your best, no, I'm sorry, not because it's an ellipse, but because it's already shaped at a weird angle. So instead, what you want to point at is something that's a little more uniform, a little like straight up. So in this case, here's the ellipse. All right, so you have 2 options, down here or up here. It's up to you guys. So I'm going to click on there. Let me try that again. I'm just going to hit OK. And there you go. Here's the axis in which we rotate it around. And the next thing we're going to do is make a plane. This is also something new for you guys. Now, you guys are familiar with planes. You just don't know about it. This here, the front plane, that's the right plane. And then there's a top plane right down there. All right, we need to make our own. And so we need to make one that's sandwiched in between this whole part here. So between this surface and this surface. And there's a plane tool right there. And right off the bat, if you look at your options, you'll see mid-plane. So essentially what it's going to do is whenever you click on the surface, it's going to be like, okay, I'm going to be parallel to that surface. The question is how far? We'll click on the next surface. And it automatically calculates the distance in between, and it creates one right there. I'm gonna hit OK. Now that I've done that, I can create a sketch on it. So I'm gonna create a sketch on this plane right there. And I'm gonna once again right click, and I am going to, let's see, does it give me that option? Not yet. All right, I'm going to create a sketch. Let me rotate this around. And I'm going to do a section view. All right, once again, it cut the part in half so we can see the inside of it. And once again, I'm also going to do the use tool. I'm going to do intersection, so that way we can make use of all this. If for some reason you can't see this edge here, you're going to want to do this. Hit the regular use tool and just click along the outside right there. And so now by clicking that edge, we can use the edge so that we could latch on to things. So now let's go ahead and let's create the face. So in this case, let me turn this. Yeah, it's not very good. All right, I'm going to start here in the center. The face, you know, how big you decide to be, it's up to you. As long as it looks like an appropriate size, I'm going to say 0.325. And then I'm just going to give it a shape. All right, if you guys haven't already used like the arc tool, you know, maybe it's worth your time to try to figure out, see if you could, you know, do a pretty good job. So like in this case, maybe the arc tool is not the best option. What I normally do is I grab the circle tool. I go to here. I click it all the way up there, and I trim off one side. All right. You'll see that we have this D shape here. And the reason I trim off the side is because you can't revolve a full circle. You need a line to revolve it around. So I'm going to finish my sketch. I'm going to turn off the section view. And then I'm going to go ahead and revolve this shape around this axis. And then I'm going to hit OK. Just so you can see it better, I'm going to turn off all of these planes here. And that plane, and you'll see that we got our final product. All right, so it's a lot, but again, the video is recorded. You guys were introduced to planes, the offset tool, a draft, the use tool. So it was just a very, very big lecture today. So that's how you make the part. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording now, and then you guys can ask any questions.